This is the plaintiff, Solange Fletcher. She says she lived in an apartment the defendant owned, but it soon became evident there was a heating problem, so she moved out. The defendant agreed to let her out of her lease, but refused to return her security because her roommate elected to stay. Well, the defendant got friendly with her roommate, who told the defendant she paid the entire security deposit, and now the defendant is trying to stiff her and not pay her back. She has no other choice but to take the defendant to court today and is seeking the return of the $575 she's owed. This is the defendant, Marjorie Blizzard. She says both the plaintiff and her roommate were out of the apartment in early January of 2014, and she refunded the entire security deposit to the plaintiff's roommate because she was the one who paid it. The money was refunded to the appropriate party, and if the plaintiff has any beef, it's not with her, it's with her roommate. She's accused of keeping it all.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff lived in the defendant's apartment, but there was a heating problem. She moved out, didn't get her security back. But the defendant says she refunded the money to the right person. It's the case of the hottie and the naughty.
Okay. Ms. Fletcher, you're suing Ms. Blizzard. You're Ms. Blizzard, right?
Yes.
For $575, half of a security deposit that you say she inappropriately returned to your ex-roommate.
Jane Bernuti.
Okay. All right. What's going on?
Well, I moved out in December due to oil situations, which all parties mutually agreed upon.
Okay. You had moved into her place.
Yes.
When?
In
March 1st.
March
1st?
of 2013.
All right. So you lived there from March to December.
Yes.
With her. Her name is?
Jane Bernuti.
Jane.
Yes.
Okay. And what is her relationship to you?
She's my son's grandmother.
Son's grandmother. How old's your son?
He's 8.
He's 8.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's kind of unusual. She's not your mother, so she's the father's mother?
Yes.
And she moved in with you to help you take care of the kid?
Yes.
Okay. So it worked out for a while. What ended up not working out?
It was a lot of things with different things that was said at church. I do hair, so another client came back and told me things she said. Then I paid the utilities. It just was a lot with the crazy winter we had, and it was oil. I've never had oil before. So we just mutually agreed to separate. And
Oh, you mean your bills were high?
Yeah.
Okay. Did it have anything to do with you not getting along with her or no?
Yeah, partly, yes.
Okay. Did you part amicably?
Yes.
Does she still see your son?
When he's with his dad, I don't really speak with her.
She a good grandma?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And you let them out of the lease?
Yes.
That was nice of you. All right.
There was no reason to keep them if they weren't happy there.
Wow, let's bottle you and spread you around, honey. Because, a lot of landlords would say tough for you. But anyway, all right. So you leave in December.
Yes,
Can you stand up for me? Because you're kind of involved here, too. And then you leave in January.
Yes.
And when it comes time to return the security deposit, what do you do?
So if the landlord gives the money back to one of the tenants, but not the one who paid it, is the landlord on the hook for that amount to the other person?
I guess, yeah.
You think so? On the hook or not on the hook? What do you think?
No, not on the hook.
Why?
Because it's the other guy's responsibility when they sign the lease.
So the tenants have to work it out amongst themselves?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You all agree? You agree?
Agreed.
Okay. Going inside the courtroom.
I returned it to Jane because when they moved in, she paid the security deposit and they asked their receipts, in fact, to reflect that. You should have copies of those receipts.
Okay.
So the person who paid the security deposit had it returned to her.
Now, are they both on the lease?
Yes.
Can I see the lease?
Yes.
We also, Your Honor, we also had a agreement between the two of us, and I agreed to pay the security deposit.
You had an agreement in writing between the two of you?
Yes, I paid utilities.
Oh,
but
good
that
for you
has
guys.
nothing
Let me
to
see
do
the
with
agreement in writing between the two of you. Do you
The
have
reason
that
that
Not with me.
Not with you. Okay, so hold on one second here. Okay, now there's a rental agreement that says we have paid $1150. That would be the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you deny that Jane Bernuti is the one who paid the $1,400?
Yes.
Tell me your side of that then.
I paid half rent, half security. There was no paperwork saying that Jane specifically
I'm sorry, okay,
paid.
there's two things going on here. I'm looking at what the paperwork says. But I'm also asking you in reality, who ponied up the $1,400?
I gave Marge $900, $575 for security, and the rest, which was for rent, which I later paid to Ms. Jane Bernuti because I didn't have the $1,150
I think that
day.
what's going on here is that instead of just splitting everything evenly, you guys just decided, I'll pay this, you'll pay that. Your intent was to kind of spread it kind of evenly. And that's why you feel like you should get half of it back. But let's talk about your agreement. Your agreement says Jane Bernuti will pay $600 per month for 1 year. Solange Fletcher will pay $550 per month for 1 year plus the electric bill. Who was going to pay the oil bill? You guys were going to split it?
I paid the oil.
No, she didn't. She did not pay all the oil.
The last month,
Hold on.
which
Were you
she
supposed to
stayed-
pay utilities or
Yes.
just electric?
Electric and the oil. The last month I
Okay,
got...
hold on. Then it says Jane Bernuti will pay $1,400 initially, which includes a rental deposit of $1,150. And then the rest of it goes to whatever. And Solange Fletcher will pay $900 initially. The $1,400 and the $900 is what you had to come up with in order to move in?
$2,300, yes.
Okay.
I actually paid $1,150 to Marjorie Blizzard. So
Okay, but here's a problem you have. You have a lawsuit against the landlord. Do you have a receipt for handing the landlord, for paying the security deposit? No.
No.
The person with the receipt is Jane. The reason that Jane has the receipt is that Jane is the one who paid the security deposit. So what the landlord has to do is reimburse the person who paid her the security according to the receipt. But you may have a cause of action against her. So in other words, you may have a lawsuit against the grandmother of your child, but I don't have that lawsuit in front of me because you're not suing her, you're only suing her. In this case, today, in front of me, verdict for the defendant.
That sends the plaintiff out here into the hallway empty-handed. What's going through your mind here? You're smiling.
I just think it's ridiculous because I paid the landlord. I did not pay Jane. So for her to suggest that I have a lawsuit against Jane, I didn't give Jane the money. I gave the landlord the money. So it's quite unfair.
The judge suggests you have a course of action against the other party. Are you going to pursue that?
I guess, but I didn't think I would have to since I didn't hand her any money. I handed the landlord the money.
Okay. All right. Okay. Right around the corner this way, and the landlord comes out on the winning end of this decision. Seems like you were pretty nice to them in a way you didn't have to be.
I try to be nice to tenants. We had a good relationship.
Why is she saying she gave you the money? She gave you the money.
She didn't give me the money. They asked that then when they gave me the initial deposit and rent, they asked that I fill out the receipts that way to reflect that Jane gave the deposit. So that's the way
anyone
it was.
who wants to get out of a lease with you, you let anybody out?
Oh, that's not what was at issue here.
Oh. All right, Harvey?
Okay, well, the case is not necessarily over. These tenants have kind of joint responsibility, and sometimes one tenant does wrong to the other tenant. In this case, the plaintiff could go after the other tenant, but there are going to be limits to that. The only thing that the plaintiff could really get from that other tenant is the amount of security, and that's it.